install on your machine, on your server, on your Raspberry Pi. It's the one which is released like every 12 months, okay? So every 12 months you have to do like upgrade. Well, now every 24 months, you should do an upgrade to a new major version. It's a larger update, okay? Compared to Tumbleweed where you do constantly larger updates, for example. We call it roaming release, and Leap is not roaming release. So if you maybe have like not so good bandwidth, you would like to get like security updates, and once per 2 years you are kind of willing to upgrade, and Leap would be a good choice for you. Leap is a little bit special among openSUSE distributions because it's actually using binary packages from SUSE Linux Enterprise. So we literally take the product, we use it as a base, and then we add community packages like nowadays, I don't know, Chromium and so on, LibreOffice on top of that. And we package it as a new distribution, right? But like the good thing is that the core is actually getting all the updates from SLES. It's identical if you install SLES on Leap and you use the base set of packages, it's exactly the same, but Leap is for free. So up until now, we were always supporting release. Let's say you install 15.6 and you knew that for 18 months you will be getting updates. And 18 months means that like that would be like 15.6 a new release, and then we wait for 6 months, we have time to upgrade, and then we still maintain service to make sure that people have their time. And we are increasing it to 24 months. So basically, if you would install, let's say, 8.16, which will be released in October, you could stay on 16 until 16.2 gets released in 2 years, and only then you could upgrade. So you can basically skip one release. And I think that some people, especially on server side, will welcome that because they don't have to touch the machine so often, right? And the good thing about Leap, if you kind of do not take that SLES part, which is coming from internal SUSE, is that we built everything in OBS and we test it publicly in openQA, so you can actually see test results of the latest build during development. You just go openQA, openSUSE.org, and you can see how stable is it getting or if it's getting worse. And that's the case for every single distribution we do, instead of Aeon, which doesn't have any testing openQA. Cool. So it used to look like this. It was a paper box with DVD, with like some getting started guide and so on. We are not doing it that since 15.4, I guess, when Computer Press told us that it was after COVID. Yeah, it wasn't worth for them, it was not profitable anymore, so now it's only digital. Okay. As I mentioned, Leap 16 will be released in October, but you can already get the release candidate. So for us, it's not like one build, we regularly publish updates, so if there is a bug, we fix it, we release update like maybe every 3, 4, 5, 6 days, depends on the cadence of the fixes. But like release candidate is available, that means that it's not GA quality yet, maybe something's missing, but like it's pretty usable, it's not beta anymore, okay? So that for me it's a good time to start testing, because you can check that your hardware isn't working, can report issue, and there is still a great chance that we will fix it. So for sure some release party. Last time it was people do some offline one, but like definitely we want something in the virtual banner. So if you will be looking at news openSUSE.org, I guess that we would announce that something's happening, and you can join us and we can have like video or I don't know, TV, what do you think? And like have fun together and maybe install it live, having a good time. I will dedicate it to So what's new in Leap? If you installed Leap or Tumbleweed or Magama recently, you realize that we have a new installer. We were using basically, I would call it REST-based installer. It was done by the same team. And they said that the main reason for switch was that the code was hardly maintainable. It was really big, really old code. And so they could use some cleanup. And since Red Hat was working on an HTML-based installer as well, that was using Cockpit, we felt like we had the same idea. So maybe can we use some of the parts together, like fundamental blocks and maybe having different UI, but actually collaborate. And it seems like we will be, but then sort of we diverged. Red Hat is still using Cockpit, they're no longer using Cockpit as a base. So if you go together, also like and also some combinations. I will attempt to get openSUSE.org, but it takes time to promote it properly. Also, if you are interested in contributing to the installer, everything is on GitHub. But the Agama project has ambition that maybe it will be used by other projects outside of openSUSE, so they are not under openSUSE. But like every installer has that ambition, and it's never the case. So yeah. It's not under openSUSE, it's an academic project, but you can contribute. It's quite nice. It's using grass. Some parts it could be. Everybody will find something for himself. You know, you had a quiz yesterday, right? And I would like to test your knowledge. Do you know what's the default desktop environment in openSUSE? I see that smiling, so he gets the idea. Yeah, okay. So can somebody guess? Like, I will not say the answer. You can say what you think. Yeah, you spoiled it. He's correct. We actually are trying to be nice. You know, we don't say this one is better. We prefer that one. We really don't check anything, and we let users. Okay, I think that's nice, and it's being equal against everybody. So, last question. Talking about desktop. So we have revisited desktop. Leak is always seen as like the most stable distribution. But from unlike Tumbleweed, we have always like deadlines, and we can do, you know, we have like opportunities. I really see deadline as opportunity to do something, you know, and we do a lot of changes. So for example, if you take Tumbleweed, you can install like, I don't know, GNOME with X11 or Excel. But like on Leak, that's not the case. We really make sure that we offer and installer only Wayland options. So that would mean like Plasma on Wayland, right? Maybe Plasma, GNOME on Wayland, and newly XFCE on Wayland. And I think that we are the first distribution which is actually shipping it. Like you can probably enable it in some other distributions, not by default, but we really offer it to the users because we think it's cool and we would like to get some more contributors to XFCE or XSpace. It's very lightweight desktop environment. I think that you will like it. And we could use some help because like a lot of tools from XFCE, they were not Wayland ready. So some stuff is missing. We are still looking for good replacement for the old components. We was using LightVM for logging as a session login manager. And LightVM supports only XOR, so we had to figure out, okay, so what do we use instead of that? And I was doing research on the internet, and I found out there is like GPK Greed and GreedD that you can combine these two services, and you have a very simple login manager, which is like basically only for Wayland. And I was thinking, yeah, that's exactly what I need, almost no dependency. So it's sort of experiment. We don't know if something will change, but I highly recommend people to test it. It's not finished, you know, and this is for contributions, right? We have like new streamer. Also, it's important because we have like openSUSE-64 support. Just like Fedora, we started to use no openSUSE-64. openSUSE-64 has one problem. If you are a large project and you would like to redistribute the codec, you know, it has to be under 100,000 downloads a year, and we have way more than that. Okay, like we are like in the hundreds of thousands of like image downloads. With packages, it will be even worse if you do updates and so on. So we actually have to ask Cisco to sort of redistribute these packages for us. You know, so they are hosted at Cisco infrastructure and available through our repositories. So we sort of use like this cycle, and we are really grateful for Cisco to do that. And we're thinking how we can improve it because you know it has to be built secretly so people cannot download it in OBS. And then somebody had a great idea to use a fake package dummy library, build it against it, and then replace it with next update basically with the real openSUSE-64. And that allows other packages to build against it as well. You know, it has the same API, the dummy package has the real library, and I think that will generally like contribute to better multimedia experience in openSUSE. Another question. There was a dedicated quiz for it. What package manager does openSUSE use? And not you, please. Like I know that you know it. Is that anybody else? Oh, that's it. Perfect. You can also use DNF, but it's not installed by default. But if you're like that hardware head fan, you can do it. But we do, you know, the upgrades will be tricky for you, but like aside from that, like it's fine. We did a lot of changes on this side. Like most of the complaints that I heard from people is that they do zipper refresh or zipper search. And it has to go through like 12 repositories. If you don't have good connectivity, it can take 2 minutes just, you know, to refresh everything, and then you get like the result that you wanted. We did a lot of changes. So Zipper newly supports parallel downloads. That was the DNF feature, DNF5. We were seen as being behind, and team knew that this is bad, but they also had to rewrite API, but they managed to actually release it. It was announced as sort of early feature, I think, not how to go, probably 4 or 5 months ago. And now it's actually part of the system by default, and I'm really grateful for that. It really like changes the experience. Since we have like too many repositories, like top 4, we really used it to like 4, you know, so you don't have to refresh as many repositories. And then we were thinking, oh, but it's still like these repositories are huge because we support like S3 MPX, you know, systemd mainframes, PowerPC, we support ARM, we support Intel, and it's all like stuff in single repository. that means that the metadata for the repository will be huge. And, like times the amount of the repositories is big. So you're thinking, yeah, but you don't really have to fetch like mainframe data exactly on Intel, so it can be split. So now we have actually split repository architecture, which means that you are fetching less data, it's like 4 times less basically. And yeah, I think that it contributes to way faster experience. What we've changed there as well is that this you really use the amount of repositories. So what happens if you try to upgrade from the previous release? It will say, well, these repositories don't exist. Like, can you remove them? Because it's crucial for upgrade that every repository is actually available, right? Otherwise, it will fail. So I was thinking, yeah, that's not good. And we've changed it like several times in 15. So can we do better job? And if you put them under package management, then you release a package update which changes the repository, and you do it for the user, so it doesn't have to do it manually. And I thought, well, that this will work, and if you like create a tool which can fetch it from the new release before the upgrade, then you have like everything that you need, and you just initiate the upgrade, right? Good news for India, I think, specifically, and also other countries that may not have as many MRIIRS. India is huge, right? And like I guess maybe you don't have as many openSUSE-MRIIRS as in Europe. We are now using fastest CDN, like really like a proper CDN solution to actually like deliver like the same experience to countries that have either smaller amount of MRIIRS or no MRIIRS at all. It was a big difference in Brazil. Now they have also some MRIIRS there, so people can choose if you really want to use MRIIRS. Or are they reliable, or should I just take with CDN, which is in the default? I think CDN is good in default if you're building on this university pretty much. You have a good mirror here, then use it directly. But otherwise, CDN may be a really good choice for you. Containers you are who fix it, and then CDN could fix it, like provide more reliable service. Yeah, exactly. That can be cases. So if you install it 16 by default, you use CDN. If you migrate from 15.6 by openSUSE migration tool, it will also like switch to CDN. Yeah, and since we are actually managing these repository definitions in package, and I was thinking that's actually convenient. So if I would like to upgrade Tumbleweed from Leap, for example, I can just install this package from Tumbleweed repository and do the backup and do upgrade. It will use Tumbleweed repositories. And what if I want to go to use Solar? I can do the same, but instead from Solar repository instead. So I can with this little tool, it's written in Bash with dialog, and you just change, like it has some mapping of what upgrades are possible. Like you really cannot upgrade from Tumbleweed to Leap because usually the package versions are older. You cannot do downgrade, right? But you can do the opposite way. So we have this little tool which can do this for you. It enables the repository temporarily that you are migrating to it. It will make sure to disable any third-party repositories. It's the common fail for any migration. You have like repository which is not available for release. And you are using some data from it, and like if you upgrade, it will complain that the repo doesn't exist and so on. So I disable it all for the user. I also offer, like, if you have new default, for example, we are no longer using openSUSE or we are using Pipewire, like I offer the change to switch the user to the new default, or keep the old one if he wants to. So that's kind of really useful tool. It's like 400 lines. If you're looking for a little bash project that you want to contribute to, this is the tool. GitHub link is in the bottom. Actually, on every software that I mention, if it's like public, you will see a little link here. So if you take screenshot, but it's usually, you just go, this is a migration tool, you will find it. It's just the only one right now. Good question for everyone. Who likes to play video games? Come on, Max, you're not being honest. Like, I think it's more. Okay, good. So I guess you know Steam, right? And we did some changes that will not make it work out of the box, but I think it's still convenient. You may have read actually that Fedora 44 was considering to drop like 32-bit libraries. And then there was like a lot of protest, and then they announced, well, we are taking it back, we will still ship them. And I feel like that's a problem because, for example, /16 will be supported until like, with extreme supports, I can imagine 2040, something like that. And in 2038, you have the problem that, like Unix timestamp, will not fit the 32-bit integer, right? And so Stas was saying, well, we want to be like ready for this issue, so we will not even ship like 32-bit libraries, we will not even support execution of 32-bit binaries. But it has a little bit of flexibility, so you can actually enable what's disabled by default on Stas just by installing this compatibility package. It's on Wiki, so if you would look at openSUSE Steam, you follow the Wiki, it will tell you what to do, okay? But you install this package, it will pass the IA32 emulation to the kernel and suddenly you have that little bit support. It will also install the GDC, which is basically needed by Steam from Flatpak. Then you install Steam from Flatpak, it works. Like I'm a gamer, I'm using it, it works. You want to install Steam devices, then you will also have like support for your controller if you do that. But and we came with this compromise, which I think is better than Fedora. Announcing something and then completely canceling it. We sort of offer users in 16 option to enable it, and I can imagine in the next new release we will cancel it. But like this is the transition, and I think this is a good approach. And we also support 64-bit flavor of mine, which is called WoW flavor. Thanks to Marcus Meissner, who's maintaining mine in openSUSE. So if you are running like Windows applications and they are like modern, not like old, you can still do that with this fine, but like Steam will not work. Steam really needs to be from Flatpak in case of 360. Okay. But it's something that you can solve within 5 minutes. It's not like a big problem. Also, I see your we have also Selinux, right? And by default, Selinux will not allow execution of one. It's blocking some syscall. Yeah. So you have to make sure to install policy for gaming. Okay, so you have Selinux policy targeted gaming. Normally, if you would have Steam RPM, you could make a dependency and you wouldn't have to worry about it. But Flatpak doesn't have like system dependencies. So in case of Flatpak, you really have to install it manually. So install grep compat I832 Selinux policy targeted gaming, you are ready. There was a lot of people, and also there is amazing design of these t-shirts, and I met some designers. I also don't have my glasses, so I'm probably recognizing it. But I see that you have the talent here. And so is there anybody interested in design? Like not everybody needs to be programming studying IT, right? So, okay, that's not for you. But me and other people, Haman specifically, Jamie Halskan, we're working on new design for a 16. Again, like Haman doesn't have that. They just keep on building new stuff, they update packages, and nobody cares about design because it's constant development. And we have these deadlines. We can do something for users. We have the same wallpaper for 5-6 years. So we have a selection of day and night variants of the wallpapers. If you notice, you see the logo, you can see it as the pattern, right? Also, you can see it in the cloud, for example. You can see it in the star constellation. And this is a beautiful picture from, I think it's Cosima from Madagascar. The Madagascar, but it was taken on Mauritius by one of our contributors. Okay. And we were doing like chilling, shaking, like some cool, ideally chameleon-oriented wallpapers. It's not a chameleon, but I think it's close enough, and it was beautiful. So if you install it and you install wallpapers extra package, like you will have all of these, but by default you only have like the day and night, and I think the project, this is the new project logo, suggested new project logo, and it's a simple green gradient because I felt like we need green wallpaper on openSUSE. Okay. And also there is an effort to create geo-specific wallpapers. If you would have an idea for India, you can do something like that. Could be Faridabad, could be Delhi, I don't know, some nature, and you could have elements like maybe that remind you of family or so. So you are more than welcome to join us. We have like GitHub repository. If you look at openSUSE artwork, openSUSE branding, you will find it immediately, and there's a Telegram channel, openSUSE marketing. And like if somebody needs something or has an idea, we usually post it there like, hey, I think that we could do like this wallpaper, but like I don't have a great idea for it, like any ideas. Then people start actually collaborating, then we create issue on GitHub, we copy paste like some examples. I can show you how that works like if you have time at the end, because I think it's interesting topic. So we covered like artwork, anybody who likes to write docs, like developers usually don't write docs anymore. You like to write docs, nice. There was somebody who was suggesting AI for release notes. See that? Oh, there you go. So we have the release notes. The original E15 release notes were really problematic. So what we were usually doing is that we copy pasted the release notes from previous release, and we kind of edit section, deleted packages, updated packages. But like we never covered really the big part from slash, where we inherit like 4 packages from, and we sort of always difference people from 2 slash release this year. They changed basically the design of release notes, they make it modular. So you can like include in your release notes, you can include actually the content of slash release notes, you can put stuff over it. And I think it leads to more usable document because you have all the changes from slash plus extra stuff. From we never copy paste it from the previous release, we try to make sure that it's fresh. And it saves me time, and I think it has a nicer structure. You can also build it up if you are interested. If you have AI idea for how to generate it, Yeah, I would like to consider it tricky because, if I want to write what's new in KP, for example, in D, and then it's 300 packages, and maybe not all of them are so relevant for people, it's better to ask maintainer, hey, what do you think makes sense to highlight? And then I write a paragraph. Some writer kind of corrects it, so it has a nice format. We are using the perfect variables as we should be, and so on and so on. So it's a bit my own process. I think that there is a space for automation for sure. And then, technical writer can still tweak it, right? But it should also work with our features, see what features we think should have a results, what we is okay to not mention, and so on. There is like live build of everything on SUSE.GitHub.io. If you would go, like, if you would look up SUSE results on GitHub, you will see a link to current build. You can find it, it's easy. And everything is not too pull request. Like, if you feel like if you would be maintaining a package and you think that you did something incredible that people should know about, like, this is the right space. Just very pull request, say, hey, this change is new, this is how to use it. Here's link for documentation. Something like that would be ideal. And not only exchange, we have like basically brand new system management. Who knows YAST? Yes. Not so many people. Okay, so YAST was like software management, well, not software management, but that's one part. Basically, if you are new to Linux in general and you install SUSE, SUSE was always known for providing like nice graphical interface utilities that can help you, I don't know, create new user, stop services, set up firewall, set up your printer. Over the time, a lot of these actually were integrated into GNOME KD because they have their own like tool for setting up printers, so they were recognized. Just had like hundreds of there's like just this, and I think it was like 180 like individual like module stuff that you could configure. And I was maybe using over past 5 years like two. So SUSE decided to no longer develop YAST. Okay, so what works. Don't expect it will be developed. Like if you install Tumbleweed, you can basically install everything. But when I was talking to Dominic, he doesn't give it more than 2 years. You update Qt, stuff breaks, and nobody will fix it, right? So that's the problem with like unmaintained software. And unfortunately, we had somebody, Stefan Hunhammer, who was nice to us, and we were saying, like YAST was really useful, and every review they were saying, YAST helped me, to get quickly, like comfortably in openSUSE, because I didn't have to know what commands to use. And I was thinking, at least for software installation, it would be nice to do, because like people know DNF, up from Ubuntu or Debian, but like like Zipper is not that mainstream, and we could really use some UI. So we basically took the old YAST to make it a separate application that doesn't depend on any of these old YAST libraries, and you can use it as part of the openSUSE by default. It's called Manav. He likes the wizard thing, so we used it. I think it's better than what was the original technical name, like package Qt or something. It's not something very technical that didn't make any sense. And for server management, if you are watching me on the we are using Cockpit. Cockpit is a web interface, right? You can use two-factor authentication, which is pretty cool. There's a lot of YouTube videos about that. If you have Lead Micro, I can show you how it looks like. These are like 5-minute videos. And like you can manage server from that. It's not really full YAST replacement, because YAST was like really doing 180 modules. Cockpit, maybe like you can do services, you can do system upgrades, you can have terminal in the browser, which is really useful. Like existing server remote, you don't have to use SSH, right? And it's secured by two-factor, which is nice if you trust Cockpit, of course. What can you do? I think that you generally see like overview of the system. If there is some event in the system, you can configure like system I think mail. You can send email, hey, something went wrong. That's especially useful if you have automatic updates on Micro. So yeah, I mean, like it's useful, but I don't use it as much as I think I should. And use estimates by default. That will be a big change for gamers. You really have to make sure you have the post. And it's a great thing behind it, by the way. But like again, this is nice about openSUSE. So let's decide to cover completely. I don't like this approach. I always prefer like change the default, keep the folder next to this. For next 10 years until basically 2038. So it's just some manual steps again if you use the migration tool. If you finish the migration tool over your post update scripts, I want to keep a partner, it does the steps for you. Otherwise, just look up wiki, a partner openSUSE, you will see it. Everything is on wiki. Changes under the hood. So read week 16, like a lot of things we basically refresh all the packages from openSUSE family. That's kind of nice about new majorities. Because you carry over packages that are valid for 5, 6, 7 years, and like with fresh work, you get rid of these old packages. You make the system slimmer, you make sure that you use only like the currently developed projects, currently maintained projects. It also means that there will be a lot of packages dropped and people will complain, but they will figure out that, oh, that's already a replacement for it. It actually makes sense. It keeps the system healthy. It's the circle of life for packages. So that could replace another, right? And we also like switched to Git recently. I think it's like 2-3 weeks ago. Basically it was RC. So just to let you know, the internal build service is using like its own source control management. It's more like CVS, okay? It's not really SVS. It really reminds me of CVS. And some people are complaining like, everything is in Git. So now we are using Git, like external instance of Git from OPS, so we can do all of the work in Git. But the transition is very painful because part of the stuff in Tumblr has to be still done, for legacy workflow. We have to sync it to Git manually, and then everything to lead has to come from Git. But I think within like 2-3 months, everything will migrate, like Tumblr as well. But it's a very painful period, so we chose like late staging lead. So we don't like in RC you get like barely maybe like 100 a day. I would say it's even less. In alpha you have like tens, dozens, sometimes hundreds. If you have like 80 a day. So this is a good time because we don't have so much traffic and we can experiment, right? And the product is relatively stable. So if you would like to contribute to lead now, I recommend you to check the wiki below, right? Git packaging workflow. It will show you how basically Tumbleweed will be developed within 2 months from now. It's painful. We could use some help on docs, but like it's transitioning period and transitioning scenarios. Stuff that I would like to mention. So because like majority of you never tried openSUSE, so let's say that like I don't know, 10% of you would feel only in the evening and they would say, oh, maybe I should actually download it and install it in VM or install it on my old laptop or something. That's actually a good thing. Maybe not League 16, but if does anybody of you have Windows 10 machine at home? Windows 10, okay, yeah. So you know what the problem with Windows 10 is, right? It will be end of life. And you may still have like hardware which is perfectly fine, but it will just simply not run Windows 11. You can download Tumbleweed or maybe League 15.6 if you want to. And this will perfectly run for like extra years. 15.6 not so much. League 16 has one problem for old hardware. We only support hardware that supports x86 64v2. And I think this is Haskell and later, so that if it's not older than 10 years, I think it will run 16 more. But if it's older, then you really want to run Tumbleweed, because Tumbleweed also supports, they have 32-bit builds of Tumbleweed. Okay? We don't do that only. I always have to support what SWS supports, because I use the same kernel. I cannot like invent, anything else outside that. I'm limited by that. And SWS, of course, hardware vendors would like to get the most of the performance results and so on and so on. So they really want to optimize for the new machines, new CPUs and so on. So let's say that you download openSUSE and you would like to install your laptop and you figure out that printer is not working. So what do? It's not always a bug, okay? Sometimes you maybe have misconfiguration or so on. You have forums openSUSE.org. Everybody asks on Reddit, like very, very, in my opinion, very stupid questions sometimes. And we have a nice support forum where you have a lot of people, also moderators, who kind of make sure that nobody's spamming it, nobody's like offensive, and if he's offensive, they look like banning. So this is a very nice welcoming place where you can go, you can ask questions, and people will try to help you. If you don't behave, then expect that you will be blocked, but that's another story. We also have mailing list, so if you would like to watch the development, there is openSUSE factory mailing list. If you look up like openSUSE mailing list, you will find it. There is also a nice URL, as usual, openSUSE communication channels. We have metrics, we have some Telegram channels, we have IRC, Liberator, and the forums are kind of for users and user support. Support in quotes, because this is community people doing it in the free time, nobody's paid to do that, okay? So don't expect that you have SLA on your issues and so on. It's just people from community being nice towards other users. Again, it's something I feel like a lot of people are trying to find workarounds, like even for stuff which is not obviously a bug. So if you find an issue, it could be, I don't know, the installer doesn't boot on your laptop, you feel like the CPU is, like supports V2, seems to be some other issue. I really want to make sure you report an issue. You tell us what hardware you are using. Ideally, a logs like what you see on the screen. If you can log into the machine, maybe give us like the message log and so on. Because if you open issue, you don't attach logs, and it's not easy to reproduce. Like, don't expect that somebody will fix it. Like that never works. Developer needs to have some data. So always if you file a bug, please attach logs. If Agama doesn't work for you, there is like button on the top, which is really cool. You can click download logs, it will download you the archive. You can actually access Agama remotely, like from the mobile phone. To switch on the installed system to console, it will show you QR code. You can connect there, you can download it, send it to email or whatever. So that's pretty cool. So logs are important, okay? There's a beautiful guide that's super long to read, but like if you want to be a nice person, you can give it a look. It's like how to report Spark for like Excel, how to report Spark for GNOME, how to report bugs for YAS, and they mention like what specific logs are interesting for them, right? So use take your time, because let's say that you open bug, somebody has a time, in a week, have a look into the bug, they will figure out there are no logs, people ask you for the bug, then it takes you 1 week to get them, or maybe you don't have them anymore. That just doesn't work. So please follow the guide, it's very useful. What I want to mention to every single one of you, I think some of you are already attending our virtual events. If you don't go to calendar openSUSE, just open it on your phone. It's really cool. Everything that you see is public, right? Like we have like something like every other day. You can join these sessions. They're like available for free. You can join, you can listen. If you have questions, you can ask. We'll be more than happy to answer. I really highly recommend to join the Thursday community meeting, especially like after the official part is done, and that we still have the people, and they have like innovation discussion. We chit chat. Maybe somebody's working on a cool project, needs the help. We will try to give him pointers or maybe assist during the session. I think it's really nice. If you feel lonely, in the evening, and you would like to hack on something together, we can do that. I think it's really cool. And there is also virtual bar that basically that works like, hey, it's like a pub, right? So you go there, if there is nobody, you can write to Telegram channel, hey, I'm in a bar, like, do you want to hop in? And somebody hops in, you can talk, maybe you have problems, you need help, it helps. Like sometimes you really need another person to have a look and maybe you can solve it together. So this is also a very viable option, and the link is incorrect, sorry. Let's go back from previous slide. So calendar openSUSE.Org is what you are looking for, okay? You click and there is a link to join the virtual meeting in Jitsi, so everything that we use is open source, just like Jitsi. We don't use Teams or anything. Yeah. What I want to mention, because it was hackathon, it was mentioned on the GSOC talk, right? I think it's really cool. And maybe you don't know it, but SUSE does, so that's interesting. It's called Hack Week 25, but it's not 25 because it's in 2025. It's 25 Hack Week, and it's happening every 9 months, okay? So this year it happened, what was it, in February, something like that? Yeah, like basically December minus 9 months, yeah, it would be probably February, March. And the idea is that all this SUSE engineering has like basically, I don't want to say week off, but you have like entire week to work on anything you want. Maybe you have some projects that you like in the backlog, you don't have time for them in your regular, daily work day. So you can just like sit together or be alone at home. For example, I'm gathering people in so we don't have SUSE office in my region, but there's a company which is our partner, openSSL. They said, if you have like some, community events, you can use our office. I was like, okay, so we can just come, maybe get some gathering and just spend 1 week together, even with openSSL people, maybe we can do some cool project together. So there is a site called hackweekopenSUSE.org, and the idea is that you register a project, you have an idea. So let's say that I don't know, I was working on refresh openSUSE.com application. So you install openSUSE for the first time, you have like little pop-up, hey, welcome to openSUSE, this is links for docs. And we were using very old version based on Q5, and I was like, no, we can change it. So I created the proposal, and then 2-3 other people joined me. Like one of the people was working like on GNOME Tour, which was the replacement on GNOME. Somebody was supposed to into Plasma Welcome, that didn't happen, so we'll probably do it again this year. But you share idea, people join you. You will announce, hey, okay, so let's sync up on Monday 9 a.m. on this like public meeting. Everybody comes. You delegate work. People tell you what skill set they have. You can find like, hey, okay, so it would be good if you would handle this part. And then at the end of the hack week, all of these projects are evaluated. And there are like multiple categories, like best collaboration. So if you have like project with one person, then collaboration probably is in your, top pick. But if you have a project, I think the one that won last year for collaboration was specific to universities, and it was in Spain. And it was like 20 people from SUSE involved, and in overall, like if you count teachers and professors and everything, it was over 100 people. It was not coding, it was literally talking to the university, talking, I think, about openSUSE or SUSE or maybe university program, create connections, and that's also very cool effort that you can do within a week. and start some classes. And I think this is amazing. So it's not only for coding, it could be artwork, it could be soft skills, it could be volunteering somewhere, to make like, I don't know, your town better place, whatever. Like you can do literally whatever you want, which is somehow, I guess, useful and cool. So make sure to check it, but like be aware that it only starts in December. So if you go there now, so for 2025, there will be very little ideas. I would say most of them will appear maybe like week before hack week, right? People will go for it, maybe on the first day they will join, they will try to contribute. So definitely check it out. If you want to see what projects were there like the previous year, just click on 24 in the top. Maybe I can show you. And you can look for inspiration, like what sort of projects are interesting for you. Like somebody wrote a mobile application for kids that gives you point if you don't use the phone, And so that's kind of nice. And then you get extra point if you go to a restaurant and to trips with families and so on. And maybe then you get like computer time for kids, right? By not using technologies. Yeah, okay, I'm not going to do one. Wi-Fi, maybe. Yeah, so that will not work. But go to Hybrid openSUSE.Asia, click on 24, you will see over 100 projects. And maybe some of them that were not finished in the previous Hybrid will be again done in this Hybrid. I would like some of them, make sure to write comment, okay? Any questions? Like that's basically for me. I would like to hear from you, like maybe what problems did you have with openSUSE, or if you have like questions. I see a question in the back. And yeah, I mean, like it will be for most of you the first time meeting openSUSE. I hope, yeah, I see one too. I hope that like maybe the quiz help you with some of it. If not, like feel free to ask. We have probably plenty of time. It was supposed to be a long talk. There was a question. The gentleman there. Can you hear me? By the way, I didn't mention it, but week 16 GA will happen in probably first week of October this year. Okay. Yes, for week 16. Okay. Like the SUSE hack week will be happening in person, or is it going to be? It's first to 5th December, so first week of December. Okay, Monday to Friday. Yeah, it's going to be remote or in person. It can be whatever you want. That's the idea. So some people, the interface is the page. Somebody has a project idea. And somebody will work in the office with like maybe 500 colleagues in the same room. Somebody will work remotely. Somebody will be working alone because he wants to do gardening work and basically use it kind of differently. I don't support that, by the way. I think that people should do something open source or good for community that works. But yeah, I mean, like you join a project and they sort of tell you what's the way to communicate, okay? And you do it through the website, and it's basically like issues that have like description and then comments, okay? You work in comments, you say, hey, I want to be part of it, how can I get in touch with you? That's it. If you're here, you register a project, and you can say, let's meet on Monday 9 a.m. this time zone, and like let's talk on this PC, and we will figure out what to do. So part of how to collaborate is task of the hack, and you have to figure it out based on the people that you have. Yeah. Everybody's welcome to join, right? But please, like, if you have like project to your like class, do not let other people to write it for you. Okay, that's not cool. So first one, thank you for the amazing presentation. So when you mentioned the game development thing and how there was a patch note in the 32-bit NC, I actually wanted to ask you about the same thing. As a young developer who is creating a game project, how can we expect the experience to be when we, for example, in Unreal Engine, there's a VLAN thing being implemented for Linux. So how will it affect our experience when we go and test our game in the Steam or anything? So it depends. Like if we really drop all the libraries, like you can see the Steam is hunting like all the games over there. I can play them. So the basic thing you don't really have a problem because like we have like fully fledged Steam, and since we have like basic 32-bit libraries and perfect bundles, the remaining 32-bit libraries it will work on no internet connection. But yeah, it works. But the problem will happen to you once we actually like disable the 32-bit execution. Then what you would be able, and Steam doesn't support that because they invested a lot of time into the compatibility layer profiles for different games. If they would cut off the 32-bit part, like it would be all broken, right? But I expect like sooner or later it will happen because like after 2038, like 32-bit will not work, right? So they cannot do that. Like maybe yeah, if it takes time and whatever in the device you can do that. But yeah, I mean like they will have to solve it. And I'm really happy that distributions, Linux distributions, are showing that this is not enabled by default anymore. Fedora, I guess, in 45 will do what we did with Leap, because people generally didn't complain. It works. Then I think that will create overall, over the time, the pressure, and people will have to come with different solutions. And I think this is inevitable. It will happen. But if you develop 64-bit games, you have no problems. This is literally just the problem with the 32-bit binary executions. And for a lot of old games, that's the case. But like Red Dead Redemption and all the newer ones, they are all 64-bit binaries. So if Steam would start using 64-bit flavor, why not? It will just work, even without 32-bit libraries. Does it answer your question? It's more for like the old games, but unfortunately, Steam itself is in the beginning check, hey, is this library, available for 32-bit? Then checking with LDD and the dependencies. And if not, it will fail. So there is like hard check. But over the time, I suppose it will go away. And there will be probably version for 64-bit only, which will not allow you to play like Red Alert from old times.
So there's a timeline for how long will it take?
Yes, well, like I don't know.
Because there's this one thing that I encountered, the problem that is there, is that there's a lot of issue in the version control in our village. So if say we are developing on 5.6 in our village, and we have this same issue with the 32-bit, how do we scale that? Do you if you can tell me?
I think that the 32-bit will be problematic because SUSE doesn't support it, right? And you will be basically let the community to solve it out. So you are asking, well, this doesn't work, and somebody in his free time has to solve it. So I cannot answer it because nobody really knows. As soon as it works, there is no issue why it stopped working. It will depend on what the issue is, and if we can easily fix it or not. It will be type of the issue. If some system stops working for I don't know, some reason, I will guess nobody will have like a lot of time to disable it, to debug it. I see. You can see probably on macOS actually. You know Whiskey? That's like the equivalent of Wine, right? On Mac. And like Whiskey is no longer developed on Mac. Like they have a very old version, and like what they did is that they only allow you to execute like older versions of Steam that work with the last version of Whiskey and nothing newer. So that's like their solution for some of the issues. But I guess maybe it's not the same for like the library itself. Like if there is an issue, but like I can see that they're being creative with the solutions, and I guess like we will have to come up with something, and Valve will have to start with us because more and more distributions will start disabling it over the time. Especially the enterprise one, you know that you will not get past 2038. The leap is good because you don't have the same support as Plus, right? So we don't have to be lead system will probably not exist until 2038. I think the announced like successor of Plus 16, which means Plus 17 will be in 2032, which is, we have still some reserve. So I guess like we can keep shipping the libraries as long as it works in lead 16, and lead 17 will be probably without that conflict. I think it's clear. I hope that this answers your timeline question. So we know 2032 will be next major release of Slash and Leap. If Leap is around, if it's not replaced by some another cool idea. But until then, I think that if the 32-bit binaries will continue working, we can keep on shipping them. Thanks so much. Yeah. Absolutely. Please.
How can I Steam open this file and how can I Steam it with my binaries and
Can you repeat the question? When you were moving the mic, I heard like half of this. Oh, you can, yeah, you ask somebody. If you can help us. Yeah. I'm really happy that this is the topic because I like Steam as well, and I see that people are like, that's good. By the way, Valve did amazing work for Linux desktop, but if they wouldn't do this, like, a lot of people are on Linux, if they wouldn't be gaming, maybe they would not be using it, right? So,
okay, so actually he was asking about the working of the Steam, like how it will work in the environment of openSUSE, and he has to work on it. That's why.
what software did you say?
He is going on a beginning for the openSUSE versions, and he has not been a part of the Linux environment for past a few days. So while you were working with the Steam environment, so he was just asking about.
Oh, it works fine. So as I said, like you install libsticks. If you migrate from 15 sticks, that's good because you will have all the 32-bit libraries installed. And then it only depends if you switch to SLNX or not. If you switch to SLNX, which I recommend, like then you have to install the SLNX policy targeted gaming. And if you go to Wiki, it has everything. Like it has literally all the commands that you need to execute to get it working, and it's less than 2 minutes. I think it's zipper in SLNX was targeted, zipper in grab combat I32 followed by reboot, done, and then it works. Then you can install Steam from that. You would go to something like GNOME software, right? And you would like install Steam. And yeah, click install, done. Right? I already have it installed, so I just open it. Oh, the network works. No, I don't know. Is that like public? Maybe, yeah. So let me do. I think this will take. No. I'm not thinking that's probably right. I can do. Oh, this is like wasn't directly on book. I'm thinking I need to get the okay. So exactly. So you do yeah, no, it's our wiki, right? And you can also help translate these pages, so you can have like Hindi that opens to the earth, and like multiple languages. And you look up Steam, right? And it should be the first thing that you find. This is great source of knowledge. Like usually all the questions on Reddit asked could be solved by looking it up on Wiki. Some of the pages will be obsolete, but like in many cases it should be fine. Specifically the Steam Wiki pages like up to date. As it goes, any other questions? So I will show the Steam part, like the instructions. Any other questions that you have? Like, one thing that I really want to mention, so if you would be like, let's say that you finish university and you will have to work on some project, right? And you will have to maybe come up with a system. So what do I run on my little box? Please consider that like out of all community free distributions, it has the longest possible support, right? If you look at Debian is providing with the stable 60 months, right? So it's 5 years. Ubuntu LTS 60 months. Leap 15.6 provided in 90 months. You didn't have to pay. And people are supporting every release for 18 months. Now we are extending it to 24, so you have to touch the device less often, right? With Micro, if you install Leap Micro, it has the same 24 months of support. And like you have automatic updates, and then only then you have to do like some interaction with the device. So I feel like this is very good candidate, like because nobody else for free will offer you such a long life cycle without like big upgrades, right? So I think that's a key value, and we only have that because of SUSE-Linux Enterprise, because they extended their general support for 24 months. So we can do that too, right? So if you would be looking, you would look at Flatpak, right? So Flatpak is basically that's like bundles that you deploy on your system. It has bundle libraries, bundle dependencies. That can be nice for some solutions. Some people prefer RPMs with dependencies and so on. That doesn't matter. But Flatpak is really good for our use case because we like these libraries that are bundled in individual Flatpaks, right? In the Steam one, and you literally just copy paste this, reboot, and then as I showed you, like from GNOME software, you would install Steam. And that's it, and you can have it working. But the reboot is necessary because you have to allow kernel to execute 32-bit binaries that's not enabled by default, and that will only happen after rebooted and you find it. Okay? I hope that it helps you. So if you install Tumbleweed, Steam will work because Tumbleweed supports 32-bit libraries. If you install Leap 16, you have to enable it first, go to Wiki. It's a few Just text, you are done, it will work for you until week 17. Any other questions? No, don't be shy. Don't be shy. No. Okay. There is one question. Can you please give her mic? Also, I'll let you know how I'll be on time. Like, do we still have time? One more question.
How can I contribute as a UI UX developer?
Cool. So, I have a request to go to Hack Week. Can I show you? So, well, this one. Yeah. So, I was, for example, we were looking, as we are changing the welcome, I told you, like, the old welcome looks like this, right? And this is a Qt5-based application. And this is a little UI, it's a static web page basically inside a Qt5 wrapper. You are replacing it, and that would be really great because I was trying to come up with, so we have GNOME tour for GNOME, which is like the section that I'm using, it looks like this. Okay. Then we have KD, which is another big section, and that has Plasma welcome, so the UI is solved there. And then we have XFC, the experimental one that I mentioned. We don't have any welcome application for XFC. We don't have any welcome application for Spain. And I was thinking, well, we should maybe come up with something, some new default. We don't have like dedicated greeter that tells you what's new and so on. We come with some default that would work for others. And so I was like trying to actually work on this one. I think there's multiple welcome applications, etc. Yeah, and that's all like yeah, exactly. This one is sort of very similar to GNOME Tour. It should also play videos, like you know, maybe you have like interaction with menus, maybe something's new. And like this is just me for 15 minutes doing something in Python, and I could use somebody who can do UI better than me. And I think that this will be probably part of the Hack Week. So if you go to Hack Week, there is labels on the projects, and I think we have UI right now. So let me do welcome, and you will find it from the previous years. Okay. And that's like nice stuff, but generally, like my recommendation for you would be install openSUSE. Maybe you like to work on graphics. Maybe you will use Inkscape. Maybe you will use GIMP. Maybe you will use some other tool. And if you don't like something about that tool from UI perspective, like try to submit a patch, you know, like try to change it. And that's the thing. That's why don't ask like, how can I help? Like use it and see what you don't like and change it. You know, propose the change. And I think that that works. Like most of the stuff is on GitHub. Just find like what the application is on GitHub, create issue, and say, well, I'm more than willing to help. You can maybe just do like scratch, you know, like drawing on how it should look like. I think this is perfect. So I always tell people, don't try to contribute to something that you don't use. That is like, you will not be happy. So find something that you like, maybe a text editor, maybe, I don't know, browser, whatever you don't like. I think the element should be somewhere else. Maybe the buttons are swapped. Maybe OK should be on the left and hence on the right. Maybe it's opposite. And like try to fix it. For example, I was trying to contribute to installer. They didn't have logos for the distribution. So I hope that we have like 2 minutes. Pull request. Also, Agama is in REST. I never worked in REST, okay, and I had to learn it. So, okay, that's me. That's the GitHub site for the installer, which is brand new, so there is a lot of space. Yeah, wait, 1 minute, 1 minute. Make sure that it's yeah. Feature, you know, UX you see label on, for example, the installer, and that will be the case on many other projects as well. A lot of people are using UX label. We could use help. This is how it looked before, right? And then I was like, no, I don't like it. Like, let's use like icons. I had to patch 24 files, some in REST, some in, I don't know, Ruby and stuff. But yeah, I mean, this is probably what you are asking for. So find a project you like, find something you don't like. I didn't like that I don't have my distribution icons, and I just made it happen over, I don't know, 3-4 days, something like that. Just look up GitHub Open Favorite project and try to contribute. That's it. Thank you very much. We don't have any more time. If you have any questions, thank you. We are ready to answer. Sorry, great.
Thank you so much, Mr. Kaufman, for the insightful and engaging session. There is a little announcement over here that there are 2 more vertical sessions happening in AG25 and B Block Seminar Hall, respectively. So any of one of you who wants to report there can leave. Rest of the people can join another interesting section. So our next section is The Great Migration Part 2 by Mr. Patrick Wislad. He will be sharing his experience and deep insights about large-scale migrations and challenges involved. Let's welcome Mr. Patrick with a huge round of applause. Hello. People sitting at the back are requested to fill up the front chairs.
Good morning, everyone. When I saw some of you last, we're in the middle of converting from a Windows network to a Linux network, which is now about. So this is part 2 of the Great Migration Tool, and this is the guide to actually how to get it done, not the politics, but actually the proper migration. It's a pretty lightweight look at what you need to do because there's a lot involved. I think that we've seen this before. I've got 40 years of technology, 7 years of film and television. So we did it. Horace and you have actually done the migration. But how did you get it? And in terms of terminology, when the movie script says something like, and then the war began, it's called in production circles the $1 million sentence. And probably now it's the $1 billion sentence, given the budgets of movies these days. Because you don't know how the director is going to interpret it. I mean, that's exactly what the script will say. It will say the war began, and you don't know what the director's going to do about that. So it could be someone just picking up a newspaper and looking at it, it's like a photo and a headline, and that's it. Or it could be Saving Private Ryan. And when you're doing a Linux migration, you don't want Saving Private Ryan. So in the much the same way, apart from starting some battles and political battles and wars inside departments, it then becomes all about justification, cost, logistics, manpower, and ultimately the results of what you're doing. And in other words, that's the what, the why, and the how, and all those things need to be solved beforehand, or it will turn into a disaster, and ultimately, as the Linux specialist, you will be running the stock blame. So, as I said before, need to reduce the scope, choose the smallest possible group of users to migrate first, and the simplest group of users who use browser-based apps, Java, Node, and RDP apps as just exclusively. Because if you need to use Windows binaries people it's a viable process. Another thing, if your customer has gaming machines or just regular home-built machines that they call workstations, good luck and enjoy installing multiple USB installations because they are not enterprise class, and that means that you'll waste valuable time as you try to work out the bias of the thermal issues. And firstly, frequently they differ. The brand and the bias actually made by the motherboards and the other peripherals change because they're built to a price, not to a standard. So if you buy something from Lenovo, a ThinkPad, or from HP, So again, it's not on one size meets bits. First with Windows 8 should be done later and should be probably the last step. And first, give the customer or the IT manager the choice of the UI or the desktop environment, KDE or no or other, because you don't have that responsibility. It's up to the customer at the end of the day. They can ask for advice and give you the best advice, but ultimately you've got to make that their decision so they can't come back and blame you for people not liking the solution. You can do A/B testing, testing. So you can have different people using the different desktops, and they can come back with the same result, with different results, whatever they think is the best, and then you can choose from that. Of course, you got to make sure printers work, number one, and also take notice of the amount of user data that's stored locally, because that's going to be very important. Then you have to build your image. Now you could do the regular ISO that you download from the openSUSE site, for example. But that's just, it's going to mean you're just going to be tapping away at next, and entering stuff like that. The larger the number of machines you need to configure, the more tedious that is going to become, and also there's more opportunity for errors and differences between the way you configure the first one versus the way you configure the 50th one. So you can download and you create a new lesson with a new custom install script, and also create everything. There's something called AutoYAST, with YAST, which Lumos was just talking about. You can actually define an XML file that will pre-install everything, so you have a completely automated install with only what you want. And you can also use something called Kiwi, which is another openSUSE project, where you can build a command line install, or it's a command line program, and you can define exactly the packages you need, and you can build the image as a vertical ISO, an image deployment, so you can just copy the image onto the hard disk and boot from there, which will be not installation, it's just a copy of a pre-done install. You can do a network bootable install. We'll get through that a bit later. It's a great tool. I really recommend if you can actually see the QR code, I would recommend you looking at it. In terms of when you're looking at the installation, one of the things you can do is something called, and a lot of people may not be aware of etc. Scanner. It's a place where you put something, scripts,
files, configuration environment files into one place, and every time a new user is created, it just copies that during the process of creating the user. So it means every time you get someone to log in using Active Directory, they'll get the same wallpaper, the same browser homepage. It just depends on how you configure it. There are other ways to do it as well. You could do a zip file and populate that upon user installation as well, but that's just an easy way to do it. And it means, instead of doing a customization for an hour of a single user, and then someone else logs into the same machine, and that person has a completely different experience. You can actually just put all the things in there, and it's the same experience for everyone who logs into that system. And it's something it's an interesting point, because Active Directory, Windows, if you've got LDAP already, and Linux version of LDAP, that's fine. But Active Directory is the most common thing to be managing authentication with Windows systems. So don't miss it, because a single failure of this will blow up the network and no one will be able to log in. So if you need to migrate it to a different namespace replacement, you can do that, but not now. Do that later when you've got everyone across, or you've got a completely viable mixed environment. So it holds all the data you need to make a seamless migration, and it will make your life easier. And it's got inserts and Active Directory policies, which I've just been talking to someone about that just this morning. They can all be applied to a Linux system. So it should be, you just don't mess with it. In large environments, you have some policies, megabytes in size, and they get downloaded to each workstation every time you log in. You don't mess with that. So now we get into the actual part of the method, which is how are you going to do the installation itself. It depends on the number of desktops. And if it's just one person in the office, because you've got 25 systems, then you can build your ISO, load it onto a USB stick, and boot it, and you just do the rest. We've all done it, but you can automate it more using Kiwi or other tools that I've already discussed earlier. And you write the script, you unpack the image files and the binary files and the zip file, and then you can join it to the domain with a single command where the machine becomes part of the domain, which means the user gets the same SID, the same security ID, which means all their files will be readable by them on the network. And it also means that they can just log in from, literally you can go from Windows machine, get them to walk away, do the migration, they come back, put the same username and password back in, and it's done. They're using a Linux system. And of course, how much space do they have on their local hard disk? And depending on how you decide to do the partitioning, they might keep it, or we might be going away altogether. So what do you do with their local data? You copy it. There's a couple of different ways to do that. You can, if it's a large enough environment, they might have enough disk space on the network already, in which case you just copy it off and then copy it back. And your login, your installation script should take this into an account. And things like web browser and website passwords and things like that will also be included in that environment information which you can then install. So that's quite important. But if they don't have enough disk space on the network, get a NAS device, or just you could do something like that, which is basically writing the ISO to a bootable hard disk instead of a bootable USB stick, and use the spare space, 500 gig, 2 gig, whatever size you think, and copy that onto the hard disk locally, not across the network. And that works as well because you'll eventually, if you've got one of those and you're passing around, you'll end up having a backup of every single user's data on that machine, on that device, which you can keep or you can delete or just give it to the IT manager. And there's AOL, which is sort of an openSUSE-based distribution, and they use that. They have a bootable CD, a bootable stick, and it copies all the user data back onto the USB. And then once the install is done, it puts it all back. And so when you go to a larger environment where people are more interested in more automation and they maybe have more IT staff, or less IT staff, this is an interesting solution that I'm just playing around with at the moment. There's a big rise in KVM devices where you can just plug something like this into the back of the machine, plug it into the network, and it's also got a small amount of flash now. For this particular unit, which is a Chinese-made device, contains, I think, about 5 gig. So you can put a full ISO onto it. You can pre-configure one, send it to a location, get the tech-savvy user or the admin, plug it into the first workstation, attach it to the PC, boot the PC, and then we get that installed remotely. So this is something I did last night, or the night before, and that machine is in my home in Germany. So I could do a remote install of that system, and just if the ISO had all the auto install processes already built in, I could just press enter and it would do everything and then return back to a Linux desktop. I could do it live now, but I don't think doing it live is a good idea. And you'll see there the virtual media space has got the tunnel ISO on it. And literally, if you do a reboot, it comes up with the installation screen as if it's a regular CD in a drive. And this particular device has a tile scale, which was analyzed with that. It's a sort of global network, and you can access stuff remotely through their program. But it could be used to create a wide VPN or anything, just put it, do the installation, reboot, and then take it out, give them to another system, and eventually, pretty soon, we'll have all the devices updated. And the key is the customer would choose to retain this, or they can choose just to send it back to you. But if you've got more migrations to do, you'll welcome that back. So they cost, I think they cost at the moment about $65 US. So they're pretty good. Now, when you go past 100 desktops, it gets a little bit more challenging because there's more installation, there's more infrastructure that you need to deal with. There's networking, doing a network visible installation is the best way to do it. And you can preserve so when a computer is connected to Active Directory, it creates its own computer account inside the Active Directory tree. If you are doing something and you don't preserve that information, which is the SID, security identifier for the hardware, you end up with a folder that has double or triple or quadruple the number of machines that you had before, all with different names, and you never know which ones you can delete because who knows. So if you can preserve that information, then way I've done it in the past, we connected an Active Directory system database to a migration database, which has certain fields in it that help us. And we'd go and manually, or ask the user to manually boot the workstation by pressing out 12 at boot or whatever that it might be. And we would have it would do a network boot and to download a memory resident audit operating system, which is just a small system, a small Linux system, very, very microscopic, but all it does is run one program, which does an audit of the hardware, which uploads it up to the database, and then from there, with all that information, it will then reboot back to Windows, and the user doesn't have no difference. But what we've done there is we've tied that machine, the MAC address, into Active Directory. So we've got two databases now. One which is specifically machine specific, and Active Directory, and they're both tied to the machine account. Which then means you can build custom installation configs on a per machine or per user. Again, you can do things like migrating the Windows data across. And then we do the installation, and then we restore the data back up to the home folder. And in terms of what your Active Directory looks like after that, after using the way we've done, is you've got this battery's not flat, but you've got the computers folder, and I think there's a host folder, which I think we created. There are a whole bunch of different things in this. The folders are Active Directory groups. The folders on the right-hand side are Active Directory groups. And so, for example, you could have, if you had a bank, you could have the teller, the bank tellers. And you can use that to install only the teller software or software image onto those machines. So any one of those machines in that folder, you could drag into one of those folders, and the next time it reboots, it will adopt the software that particular group needs to use, which makes it pretty powerful. So we've had that with different flavors of the vendor. Again, I'm not explaining, but down the bottom there, on the left-hand side, you see Red Hat says Ubuntu. We've been able to do reboots and just completely reinstall drag one machine, put it in the Red Hat folder, you get the Red Hat image. Get the same machine, drag it to the SUSE folder, you get the SUSE image every time we reboot. Which means you can actually just it makes everything incredibly flexible. Because if you've got 1,000 or 10,000 machines, all roughly the same hardware, compliant with what we're doing, then when a machine becomes free, you can reassign it just by dragging and dropping into the group and putting that machine where you need it in your organization. So that in the left-hand side, there's different programs and the big different customers and different tests we've done with it. And so, the call center just needs a web browser to connect to the ERP system or whatever it is, a contact management system. So that works very well. Again, it's sort of a deeper view, the different folders. You can also tie the image to a specific machine, but if you've got using a group, it's a lot better because it's easier to manage a group than a machine. And Active Directory is built around groups of users. And when we do this machine SID remains the same, and we add a description if you will, which just says we use a system called Carpet, which we wrote ourselves. And it's called Carpet Manage, and we can filter inside Active Directory for all the machines that are Carpet Managed if we need to do that. But it's also, you can put whatever description field you want in. We also add, kind of it's too blurry to see it, but the highlighted thing there is a field called network address, and we stick, which is unpopulated for some strange reason. Most of the fields in Active Directory are unpopulated, but we can put in the MAC address, which is how we got the Active Directory view to the database. So they stay the same because it's essentially a unique identifier for the machine. So it does make it possible just about anything. As I said, you're changing the AV group and change the OS. You could do something like you can build a device that an image that is just a BDI image, where it just downloads something like an RDP viewer or even something like a virtual viewer, and your system is actually in the cloud somewhere. That could also be a memory resident, so you could actually keep the Windows images on your machines and just put the memory, the network bootable image to do what you want it to do. Splice is something that Red Hat developed, which is about its compressed video and audio and mouse and all those kind of things. And you can just have a splice viewer, which is called the viewer. And as I said, you can just deliver it as a memory resident image during the working group. So it enables anything, kiosk style applications, digital signage. It's not just workstations. It could be anything. You see all these railway station signs in London, which will have blue screens of death on them from time to time. And so if they were only using the system, they wouldn't be having that problem. So this is just an idea. I mean, if you use Linux, you know you've got the different sections you can have, which is control F1 to F8 or probably more. But there could be a way where you can have the ability to swap when you're running Windows on the local machine and a remote session of Linux, or vice versa. So you get the best of both worlds. You won't be able to copy and paste between them, but it's just an interesting experiment which I'm not going to try when I get back to the office. So I'm really your imagination is your own limitation to the way you do it with Linux, as opposed to locked into Microsoft where you can't really do anything except what Microsoft tell you. So in summary, it's really pick your battles, reduce your initial scope, and build the image for the job. If you become accustomed to using Kiwi, that's a very easy thing to do. It's a bit of a pain because it's all XML configuration, but myself and a few others are working towards having a web-based version of it, which will do all the building for you, which used to be available, used to be called I can't remember the name of it, but it was a desktop operating system builder, and you ended up with images and ISO fields, files, and virtual images, and you just download them. It was fantastic, and for some reason SUSE killed it off. I think it was too expensive. So yeah, so build the image for the job, make sure you're doing as much automation as you can, and minimize opportunities for user complaints, which is really like let senior management or the users themselves environment is going to be. And otherwise, and make sure printers can work. And apart from that, it should be pretty safe and easy going. Thank you very much. Any questions? So in terms of So it's all about, with hardware, it's all about the drivers. And yeah, so the drivers were originally, most of them were built by open source developers. And then once the vendors started realizing that Linux is actually a thing and we can make money from it, they started employing driver writers themselves, and a lot of those, the same developers would actually start working for IBM or Lenovo, or they already were, and they were doing the driver department development on the side, and now it became part of their job. In terms of further integration, there are things that we can't access. When you're doing an installation or when you're running a Linux system, you'll get sometimes a reminder to do a firmware upgrade, or you'll see in the boot window there's something like a CPU mitigation package being loaded, and that's all come from the vendor for secrecy and also security. And that's how the hardware is updated by the vendor. There are other projects which are open. For example, PowerPC or the power systems from IBM are now they're open. They're completely open. They're more open than Intel. They're more open than AMD. It depends on how open you want to be. In which case, it's important to have 100% open. You need to go for RISC-V or power. Power is very expensive. RISC-V is not, but nowhere near as power. Because it's just the CPU, at the end of the day, the CPU is either open or it's not. And everything is built around it. And every other part of the motherboard has its own level. Every single component is either going to be open or not. Most of those products, and that's kind of just the way it is. Yes. Yeah. So very good question, and I know there is. I don't know what the address is, and I'm not sure how well maintained it is. So the Giga Foundation is we're working on having it. So, for example, in one of these big processes, we could be auctioning and updating that public list all these things of work that this particular motherboard. We might be introducing a package that does that anyway. There's lots of people who are resistant to do that in the Linux community because it's an invasion of privacy or whatever. But that then holds back the adoption of hardware, and people go and buy a machine. And I've done it myself. Go and buy a machine or buy a peripheral, and I think this is going to work because everything else I've bought in the last 6 months has worked, and it's like I can't do anything with it. It's another piece of junk in the drawer that is marked. So that's why it's very important to use enterprise class hardware, which is not necessarily more expensive. It's just built to a standard, not to a price. Like as I said, those workstation systems, the so-called workstation systems and gaming systems, I went to one company and they had 20 of those systems. They all bought at the same time. And there are probably 4 different variations of motherboard and motherboard manufacturer, because all they're looking for is the CPU speed, the memory speed, and the memory capacity. And they're all put into the same style box, so you couldn't tell. And when you go and try and change those firmware values so that you can automate, work on LAN and things like that, we can actually wake up an entire network with one command. And a lot of those systems I couldn't even find where to turn it on or turn it off, because actually it didn't exist on that particular version of the motherboard. So things like that. So going to the motherboard level just go as generic as possible. And make sure it's supported. But most aren't, but it's just, if you're doing a mass installation, you just don't want to mess around or waste time going from one machine to another, to another, to another. It's just not worth it. Does that answer your question? Yes.
Using LDAP, is it possible to get the similar level of control compared to A?
Yes. Last time I tested it, there are a couple of there's the default one that's installed in openSUSE. It's called something like 3897 or open LDAP, it might be the same, and you can install the same. So LDAP is just something, it's just a database, and you install the schema, and the schema defines the database. And you can get a schema that's compatible with Microsoft, with open source, or they're allowed. It will work the same way, I'm pretty sure. And that's how you migrate away from AD. It probably always pay to have one Microsoft system on the network for support purposes, or just because you don't want, you just need it. I hate to say that, but yeah, it's just a good thing to have. And you have, we had multiple secondary domain controls which were standard. You don't actually create a standard server that mimics Active Directory as well. But that was 7 or 8 years ago. So, and we've done that in the works fine. That's it. Thanks very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Patrick, for the enlightening session. Your knowledge and experiences have given us much clearer understanding about the great migration journey. You all are requested for a group photograph with Mr. Patrick. Please come on the stage for the group photograph.